Hey guys, Ashley here with SixPackAbs.com, and I'm with Johnny to talk about an issue I've seen that is all too common in people cutting calories on a diet. Evan Alexander asks, I'm in a caloric deficit, been on it for a month with at least 45 minutes of exercise a day, and have seen little to no weight loss. What am I doing wrong? What's your take on this, Johnny?
Evan, very good question. Ashley, thank you for that. First thing we need to consider is what kind of calories have you cut out? Are you cutting the wrong calories out? Are you doing what a lot of people commonly do and just cutting carbs out? That could be your first problem. You need to find a good macronutrient balance for you in your body type. So first thing I recommend doing is hopping online and Google searching body type test. You can go through there, answer a couple questions, and it has a little formulation that it can give you what type of body type you are, or a mixture of the different body types: mesomorph, endomorph, and ectomorph. Those three specific body types generally react either positively or negatively to certain macronutrient mixes. I'll let you do the research and try and figure that out. The second thing is, once you figure out a good macronutrient mix for your body, you have to do trial and error. You have to see what works and what doesn't work. So again, if all you did was cut out carbohydrates, that's your body's most important fuel source for energy. So you're shortchanging yourself on that. The second thing is, if you're doing that too much, if you're cutting too many calories, you're actually causing what could be called catabolism. That's the breakdown of muscle tissue. We want to be in what's called anabolism. That's the buildup of muscle tissue. That's the buildup of your cells. That's your body recovering and growing. So in order to do that, again, this all relates back to your nutrition, that it has to be in line, and you have to have a good macronutrient mix. That's a good amount of dietary fats, healthy fats. That's a good amount of protein, obviously, at least a half a gram per pound of body weight, up to at the most maybe 1.3, 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. And then, of course, you have to have a good mixture of carbohydrates. And you have to give yourself time. That's the other thing. The thing is, man, you've only been doing it 4 weeks. To be honest, it can take you 6, 8, 10 weeks, depending on the person, to really start to see some results, especially if you've been the way you are for a long time. Let's say if you've been a little bit overweight, or if you've been holding on to that belly fat for a long time and haven't really done anything ever to try to get rid of it, it can take a little while. So again, be patient. You see yourself in the mirror every single day. I do not recommend taking your weight every day. I recommend taking it maybe every week or 2 weeks. And if you still, again, after a few more weeks, you still don't see the weight dropping off, you need to consider what you're doing for exercise. And again, go back to the macronutrients. Switch your meals around. Switch your protein, fat, and carbohydrate percentages around. If you're doing the same exact thing every day too, you could be spinning your wheels. Some guys will run into a plateau. If they've been, let's say, working out, exercising for the first 3 months, they see some weight loss. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, it stops. Well, that's because they're probably doing the same thing. They're probably eating the same thing, okay? The problem with eating the same thing over and over and over is, again, your body is going to figure it out. It's going to get acclimated. Also, another thing that can happen is your body can get inflamed if you actually eat the same thing over and over and over, especially if it's not necessarily organic, if it's not the best foods. So I know I'm throwing a lot of information here at you, but what I need you to do, again, be patient. Give it a little bit more time. Trial and error with your macronutrient mixes. Don't be just cutting calories. That's a very common mistake. Don't just be, well, I need to lose weight, so I'm only going to eat 1,000 calories a day. Another thing, don't skip meals. Hopefully you're not doing that. It's going to do a lot more harm than good. So make sure and take those things into consideration.
So I'm hearing I cannot just cut out the fish and only eat cake, even if it's just 1,000 calories a cake, can't do it.
No.
And we want to make sure that we are pushing ourselves, challenging ourselves, and giving enough time. I always go with 90 days. And I take measurements, not just like on the scale, but if like the abs is what I want to see, I start measuring my waist and writing that down once a week.
That's a true telltale sign. Now, the other thing you want to think about, and one last thing I forgot to mention, is if you're doing only aerobic type exercising, if you're only going and jogging on their treadmill, if you're only going, for walks, or you're doing low intensity stuff, that's called aerobic exercise. Aerobic exercise relies entirely on your body's oxidation system. That means it produces its energy through the air you're breathing in and through its bloodstream, through your lungs, through your blood flow. Anaerobic exercise is actually what utilizes your body's stored energy. So it dips directly in the ATP, in the glycogen, which is AKA body fat, and that's what it utilizes for its energy. Running intervals, sprints, getting on a spin bike and doing 20 seconds real fast and then slow pedaling, try and switch it up. I really highly recommend, especially if you're trying to lose body fat, anaerobic type exercise.
Now I've read that if you do your anaerobic exercise and you're on a caloric deficit, you won't be losing lean muscle mass.
You want to know why?
Yes.
Because anaerobic exercise is anabolic. Promise you. Aerobic exercise, continuing to do it, it's going to go catabolic. Think about it. The marathon runners, the cyclists, besides their legs, very
super
skinny,
lean.
very frail, because their body will break down muscle tissue for energy. That type of high intensity interval stuff, the anaerobic stuff, that's anabolic. Your body's growing up. That's why you can actually build muscle mass from doing that. Think about it. Sprinters, they look jacked. They're not spending hours in the gym, I promise you that. They're in the gym doing a little bit of maintenance stuff, but they're mainly getting those bodies from sprinting. Think about that.
Well, thank you, Johnny.
Of course.
And thank you, Evan, for sending in the question. And if any of you guys out there have questions we can answer here on SixPackAbs.com, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget, most importantly, like, share, and subscribe to Six Pack Abs.